Back live and Inside the Game, the podcast, episode 279. Nate Wangler and Ryan Glinsky here this morning, getting into everything and anything going on in and around the sports world. Hour number one, as always, our soccer segment. Hour number two, all sports. Ryan, what's going on?
Not much, just chilling. It's haircut day, so it's gonna be a good day.
Yes,
Nothing
I
better
also
than
had
a
hair.
feeling after getting a fresh fade.
Well, there you go. Yeah, it is. You feel fresh, you feel new. In my case, I feel like I've lost 5 pounds anytime I get a haircut because I feel like my hair itself, it doesn't grow down, it grows out, so it grows up. You know what I mean? Like I could realistically, if I really tried to, I could probably have some sort of an afro or some sort of something of that sort. So that's the problem, and then it makes my head look twice as big. So not only do I look bigger in general, but it just makes my cranium look massive. That's what I appreciate about the buzz cut, because it actually looks to make a little more proportional to the rest of me. So that's why I appreciate that. But I have been considering going bald for a while, but certain individuals will not allow me to do that. They don't want, including my barber. She's like, I don't want to see that,
Well,
because I've
yeah, that's
had
'cause-
people go bald and then they come back looking like an alien, because you really don't know what you look like bald until you're bald. You
well,
just don't know.
well, she doesn't want you to go bald, so you can keep going back to her and paying money to her. That's why she said that.
Well, that's true. Yeah, because I guess you would have to shave your head, right? Every day you'd have to do like a razor
Yeah, that's
and
why
shaving
she said
cream and all
that.
that stuff. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's fair. Or, I mean, you could let it grow back out, but then again, I hear it doesn't grow back out quite the same way. So I have gone bald once in my life. Mind you, that was for, well, actually dual purpose. It was for swimming, because I swam in high school, and I was also in theater. And so the role that I was playing, I was a bald man because it was Annie. So I was like,
You didn't put like a
Warbucks
cap
as the
on.
big. No, hell no. No, man. For a big role, no, you got to go all in. You know what I mean?
For
It's like the
the
Hollywood people
50
when they
people
take.
that showed up to it.
It wasn't 50. It was more like 150. Okay, and it was great. We sold that place out every time. Little Circle Theater. Oh, it was great. I miss acting, man. Acting is fun, especially when you actually get a reaction out of people. It's I can see why comedians and actors have such egos on them, because there's no more powerful feeling. But anyways, let's get into our conversation here in hour number one, Champions League reactions. And we talked yesterday about PSG and Bayern, but Ryan, we got a lot of takeaways after leg one. What is your biggest takeaway? And I guess the question that we're asking here in hour number one is, I mean, who's your favorite?
Um, you didn't. I'm surprised you didn't even read the bottom. To start the show about the bottom right there. LeBron sucks. I'm surprised you didn't say that.
Oh,
Didn't talk anything about that. I'm just saying. We got a couple comments before I get into that. Fabian says, "What's up?" in a Cam Scadaboo type of way. Yeah, Cam Scadaboo is interesting. This is what I will get into
looks like my
mainly about
cousin.
my discussion. Is Fabian says, "What happened to Arsenal? Real Madrid scores goals. Let me know when Real Madrid plays in the Champions League next. What do they play this
Woo!
month at some point?"
Woo!
And I told him, I bet you Real Madrid gets that PK at the end of the game. I'm just saying, Real Madrid definitely gets that PK. And that was the most frustrating part. Like, I'm not even mad about the game. I admit it still like reiterates my confidence in this team of getting through into the next round. And I think we'll still get through. And by the way, it was not Saka who got tripped. That was Eze, not Saka. I think it's a PK because it's simple. VAR is in place to overturn clear and obvious mistakes. That was not a clear and obvious mistake, which is weird for people to kind of grasp. Like it's not a clear and obvious mistake.
Mhm.
He clips him on the top of the foot, can't get through. Mbappe would get it. Vinny Jr. would get it. Bernardo Silva would get it. Haaland would get it. Messi would get it. Ronaldo would get it. But for some reason, they're like, yeah, we got to overturn this, even though it was called correctly on the field. Then if we really want to get pissed off if you want to get me more pissed off, talk about the Ben White penalty. It hits the foot and then hits the hand. Not a PK. And the shot's not even on target. It hits the foot, then hits the hand. Not a PK. So yesterday I had to watch all these different I had to watch all these different, BS PKs that were either gifted for Atletico or not. I mean, the Gyökeres, that was clear as day a penalty. That was, I mean, he got tackled damn near. If Arsenal doesn't have money to pay the referees, yeah, I wish we had Real Madrid and Man City money. That'd be so sick to pay off the referees and all that fun stuff. But when I looked at the game, and of course everyone's going to talk about how there was only 2 PKs scored, it was 2 goals. There's chances left and right. It was a good game. It wasn't like PSG versus Bayern Munich where it was, free flowing up and down the field. No one could stop them. Nothing like that. But it was a good game overall. I think, which, by the way, the toilet paper toss kind of gave me some nostalgia when they walked out onto the field with the Atletico fans threw all the toilet paper. Gave me a little bit nostalgia being a Chippewa about the toilet paper toss in McGurk Arena when we take on Western Michigan. So that was kind of cool. And then they kept throwing it during the game, and I was like, all right, guys, we got to relax on this. Boring games, says Fabian. Yeah, because you just want to see 9 goals. That's the reason why you wanted to see it. And when you go from that to that, I mean, it was a good game. It was a good game. Let's be real. I mean, Griezmann hit the post. Alvarez had a really good chance. Hopefully he's all right. Mascara had a chance. There was chances all over the place. There's chances all over. They just didn't. Maybe the goalies were actually kind of good, and Bayern Munich didn't have a 45-year-old goalkeeper in net. Ever think of that? And then the PSG goalkeeper sucks too. So it's not like the goalies were any good. Like, if the only person that did not like that game were the goalkeepers. That was the reason. Yeah. What do you mean I gave up 5 goals in a game? 4 goals in a game?
Fabian saying he has to rage bait. Now back to serious mode. Fabian, you're never in serious mode, man. If we're being honest with ourselves, you're just rage baiting the whole time. But it's a part of it, man.
Bro wants to eat food. Hey, with us getting a hot dog roll, we might have to eat hot dogs on air now. Might have to do that.
Yeah.
Send in super chats in order for me to eat like 3 hot dogs.
Just don't put ketchup on it.
Why? What's wrong with having ketchup on it?
Ketchup on a hot dog is sacrilegious, man. I know I'm not from Chicago, but I still buy into that mentality that you just can't put ketchup on a dog. So I'm just that's all I'm saying.
I put ketchup on hot dogs all the time.
You want me to make some chili and bring it over there? We can have chili dogs.
Sure, but
just saying. But anyways,
I would put hot dog on it. I'd put ketchup on a hot dog. I don't. You're not even from Chicago.
I'm close enough. 2 hours. No, I'm kidding. I got family from Chicago, but
I'm from Canada because I live 40 minutes from Windsor.
You can claim that. I'm pretty sure people would still allow you to claim that if you claim Canada. So just saying.
I'm not claiming. I don't want to even claim Canada at all. Like, why would I ever want to claim Canada? That's a horrible place.
You did the British accent on our show once. Can you do the like a Toronto accent or an Alberta accent?
No, I don't want to sound like a douchebag.
Come on, fam.
Huh?
Nothing.
Have you ever eaten a Puerto Rican hot dog? I've never had a Puerto Rican hot dog. I don't know.
What's on a Puerto Rican hot dog?
I don't know. Well, I guess.
All right, Fabian, you gotta break that
hot
one down
dog,
for us.
bun, cheese, ketchup, ground beef, and potato sticks. Sounds like I'd be in the bathroom for like 3 days after that. Sounds horrible.
No, the game yesterday, though, very quickly, I will say, I think it was everything that we or the match yesterday. Sorry. Was everything that we thought. The fixture, yeah, there you go. Getting the vernacular right. It was everything I think we expected it to be. It was more tactical. It was more measured. I think Arsenal obviously getting the goal on the PK to break the deadlock. I think that was very Arsenal-esque. I think the one they gave up later, whatever, but it seemed like they had multiple opportunities. The VAR overturn. Also in the 82nd minute, Arteta was making a lot of changes. It looked like Arsenal had a chance to close this out and come back and win it. And so I think that's a little frustrating that they obviously weren't able to break through. But I think from a game perspective itself, it was measured. I mean, it was everything we expected it to be. In terms of the question of favorite coming out of it, I don't know, man. My question is, can Arsenal finish? Like, that's always the question in the back of my mind. I'll still go with PSG. I think PSG looked really impressive in their last match. Now, is that sustainable, as you mentioned, against a more tactical side like Arsenal? I don't know. But I think yesterday was just frustrating in the way that I felt like that was a game Arsenal should have had, but they didn't. They just couldn't cap it off later on in the match. So I'm starting to feel a little bit. I'm like living vicariously through you when it comes to your Arsenal fandom, because I don't really have a horse in the race. So I'm just kind of sitting back here living through you a little bit when it comes to this team. And I can see where the frustration lies and where it comes from. And also how you can become just kind of immune to it at the same exact time, because felt like they had multiple opportunities late, close to the 80th minute yesterday to actually push through, but didn't. So, I don't know. I guess I'd ask, who's your favorite after all this?
I mean, my favorite would probably still be PSG at this moment. But I mean, what I saw yesterday and what I saw 2 days ago, I mean, I'm not mad at what happened at all, because I know if Arsenal were to play either side, which Arsenal already beat one of the sides this year, and everyone seems to forget about that. That I still feel more confident, because there was chance. I'm not like mad at all about that game, because Atletico had chances they didn't put in the back of the net. Like, they had point blank range chances and they didn't put it in. So, and then Arsenal obviously missed chances. What I was more upset about was the PK that was awarded and then taken away. Like, if it's Fabian's Real Madrid, that gets given. That 100% gets given. But that's what I'm a little bit more upset about. And then, back to the game, dude. We've got to get Bukayo Saka off the field, man. Whatever's going on in his head, it's just not there, dude. It's not there this year. Like, I don't even know if it makes the World Cup at this point. Madueke is just so much better, just like Saka, man. It's like, you used to be so good, and this year, I mean, he's still young anyway. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with him. He just can't dribble past people anymore. Like, he just loses the ball time and time again. It's bad. Bayern Munich signed Louis Diaz and Kane, but didn't sign up the other guy at 29 years old. I don't know who you're talking about. Saka needs acting class. Saka didn't get fouled. So, I mean, it's Eze. If that's Eze who you're talking about, I would trade Saka for Nico Williams in a heartbeat. The only issue is Nico Williams wants to be the highest paid player on the team, and Arteta's like, no, dude, you got to earn it first. So, no, I would totally want Nico Williams over Bukayo Saka. But no, the game, I'm still confident in this side. I'm still confident, ever since that, like, the Man City game, they played well in that game. They just didn't put it in the back of the net. And you're right on that take. But then I'm just kind of waiting, because there will be a game at some point where they just go off and they score like 4 goals. It happens once. It happens like once every 2 months. We're getting close to it. We're getting close to it. I don't know when it'll happen. I don't know if it'll happen on the weekend, this weekend. Let's see who
you think it's by design that they don't do that more often? Because if anything, I feel like that's more frustrating to me, that you just see that once in a while. Whereas I feel like this team has the capability of doing that more often.
I don't think they
not that it
design
matters.
not scoring goals.
Yeah.
I don't think they design to not. So, like, the Tigers, they just designed to not score runs for
that's not what I mean.
innings.
That's not what I mean. It's just the way they play isn't conducive to scoring a lot. I feel like we've kind of seen that. I don't know. Maybe I'm off in that assertion, but
I mean,
anyways,
I think you might be. No, I mean, obviously you're set up differently every single game. Like, you're set up differently, different opponent every single game. You're going to be set up differently no matter what. But I mean, I'm just saying, I don't think it's designed to not score goals. They get chances sometimes.
That's not necessarily what I meant. But anyways, continue with the point that you were making.
I still feel confident in this team, and we're coming to a point where Fulham will be tough, but then West Ham, Burnley, Crystal Palace, I'm completely fine with. And then what they do next Tuesday, hey, you're going to be at the Emirates. First time in a long time I think it might be the first time ever that the semifinal second leg is held at the Emirates. Take care of business. I got full faith they're going to take care of business. I'm not really worried at all about this team. I'm not worried about them, falling flat on their face in the second leg. I'm not worried about that at all. I think they'll take care of business. They played well yesterday. They played well against Newcastle. They played well against Manchester City the week before. And, hey, I still think they're going to get it done. It's a very good team. It's a very good team still. Like, everyone's just bashing because they lost a couple games. They dropped a couple points here and there. Yeah, sure. But this is still you don't get to the semifinals of the Champions League by mistake. Sure, you could talk about their path being a little bit easier than others, but I don't know. Maybe win the table phase and you get an easy path. Weird how that works, people. Yeah. It's weird that when you're the first seed, you kind of get an easier path. Oh my goodness. It's almost like when when Michigan got to Michigan's like, oh my God, they played a 6 seed in the Elite Eight. They played an 8. Like, they haven't played anyone yet in the tournament. They wait till they play Arizona. Guys, they're a 1 seed. What do you think's going to happen? They're not going to play a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament as a 1 seed. You've got to get through 3 games first to even think about that. And the 2 seed in the region was, I don't know, the worst 2 seed that you could ever have, that in Iowa State, who never gets past the Sweet 16. Like, that's just how it works, guys. Like, that's what happens. Hey, Bayer Leverkusen went unbeaten a couple years ago in the Bundesliga. They still have a couple pieces there. Sporting wasn't a slouch either. They're typically a good side, and they played well. But you know what? They got the job done at the end of the day. It's still weird to me that everyone, whenever it's Arsenal, there's always an opinion. Everyone's got to lump in. Everyone's got to make an opinion about this. Yet, like, we've got clubs spending $2 billion and they don't win anything in Chelsea, but they win a Club World Cup no one cares about. Like, guys, just because Arsenal do it one way, everyone's got to lump in. Last time I checked, the last 2 years, they were the last standing Premier League side of the Champions League. Last time I checked. I mean, that's not a mistake or anything, guys. But last time I checked, they did that. But everyone wants to harp on, oh my God, they scored a PK. They only scored a PK against Atletico, and Atletico scored a PK. Hey, what's Liverpool? When's their next Champions League game? No, I forgot they're out. Man City, when's their next Champions League game? Oh wait, they're already out. United, oh crap, I forgot they didn't even qualify for it. Tottenham, oh crap, they're fighting relegation. It's weird how all this works. And there's a last point. Okay, we're getting kind of on a rant here, guys. Remember a couple years ago, people, when there was Arsenal's not the Angel Reese of soccer. That's not true. That's not true at all. That's horrible. Imagine Nico Williams and Endrick on the other side would be sick for Arsenal. I would love Nico Williams. Been saying it for years, since the Euros. But it's whatever. He wants too much money, and when you want too much money, I mean, you got to produce a little bit more too, Nico. I would say remember a couple years ago when Leicester won the FA Cup, and like there was that graphic out there, people that said the new Big Six, and they crossed out Arsenal's name and they added Leicester into it. Yeah, 6 years later, how's that one going? In the last 6 years, Leicester City is now going to be in League One of the EFL. Arsenal is still in the Champions League. Last time I checked, Manchester United hasn't done anything in 6 years. Last time I checked, Tottenham hasn't done anything. I guess they won the Europa League, and they're about to get relegated. Chelsea has spent $2 billion and has done absolutely nothing with it. I'm just curious, guys. I'm just curious, if that graphic still holds some stake in everyone's hearts. Just weird. Just curious. Just curious how this all works. Just want to make sure that we're on both sides here. Everyone is still just creating a fair game.
Ryan woke up and chose violence today. I like it. I like listening to it.
Okay, so I'm going to have to get into these MLS comments too, guys. Like, when we talk about the Jurgen Klinsman thing, we're going to have to talk about it when we're done and all that.
Definitely do a mailbag, yeah.
But
a little bit later on.
People on the internet are so stupid. Like, they are so dumb. Like, everyone's talking about, oh my God, because Bayern Munich had 9 goals. Like, they're clearly the favorite to win the Champions League. PSG, that whole side still stays true, which I still sort of believe, but it's going to be closer than people thought. Like, when what was it? Indiana played Miami. Oh, dude, Indiana's going to win by 4 touchdowns. I go, guys, have you seen the line of scrimmages for Miami? Just saying, it's going to be close. And it pretty much was. It came down to the final drive. And then everyone's like, dude, Michigan's going to blow out UConn by 30. Guys, UConn is undefeated in national championship games. I don't really want to play Dan Hurley. And then when it comes to Arsenal playing beautiful football until April shows up, yeah, sure, that's a good point. But they really didn't play well all of 2026 up to this point. So, and then obviously, if Arsenal were to get through, and then obviously if PSG or whichever one gets out of that, it's going to be PSG or Bayern going to win by 3 goals or whatever. And it's like, guys, Arsenal finished top of the table for a reason. They beat Bayern 3-1. And if we're really looking at the game, Bayern really didn't do anything at all in that game. But all of a sudden, they're going to win by a whole bunch. And then the whole MLS thing, guys, I wasn't even talking about that these players were bad. They were bad when they showed up to the MLS. It was a diss on the MLS. But everyone's like, dude, the MLS just isn't good. I go, I know, I said that basically. But you guys take it the wrong way. You hear what you want to hear. God, people on the internet just piss me off sometimes. Except you, Dave.
Yeah,
You
well,
kind of make me laugh on
that's
Twitter. So
that's life of working in the opinion business. But let's take a break here. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the U.S. men's national team and what our biggest concern is with them. Obviously, coming up on the World Cup here very shortly. But first, FC Bayern summer soccer camps are a proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network, fostering football excellence across North America. Open to boys and girls of all skill levels, FC Bayern camps deliver elite training inspired by FC Bayern Munich's world-class philosophy. Right now, select your city and start a promising soccer path. Save $30 on registration using promo code BayernNSN30 or scan the QR code on your screen. FCBayernYouth.com.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind. Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics, letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail. Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play, NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate. Call 586-304-4405 and start watching today.
Back in live on Inside the Game, episode 279 here on the National Soccer Network. Just a short amount of time out from the 2026 World Cup here in the U.S., biggest tournament in the world coming to our shores here in the United States. And, we were talking briefly yesterday about the new docuseries coming out on the U.S. men's national team. Covered the team for the last 4 years since the last World Cup in 2022. I haven't had a chance to watch any of it. I know that obviously the documentary about Christian Pulisic is out there already, but, we have shared pretty much every opinion there is to share about this team, about the U.S. Soccer Federation, about what it all looks like. And, much like every 4 years, I think we kind of circle back to the same topics, a lot of the same topics, the hot button topics when it comes to USA Soccer, whether that be all the way from the youth up to the national team and everything we have. Obviously, we had John Kowalski on the show last week chatting about, this U.S. men's national team, this current iteration and what it was compared to when he was there. I think the one thing he mentioned, Ryan, at least the one overarching theme that we kind of took away from that conversation had to do with camaraderie and expectations. And really our expectations are kind of all over the map. You ask some chronically positive people, they're like, yeah, we could make a run. You ask some people who are snake bitten by the unfortunate nature of being a U.S. men's national team fan, and they'll tell you we ain't even going to get out of the group. So I guess, sometimes we talk about the positives, but today we're going to focus on, what's the biggest problem when it comes to the U.S. men's national team. And I'm curious, what do you think?
can I say it all?
I mean, yeah, sure.
Can I say everything?
Yeah. What is everything?
No, I think the biggest concern is simply, one of the biggest concerns. Oh, hold on. What are the biggest? I completely did that wrong.
It fits.
Yeah,
okay.
That's the issue when I'm putting up the titles there at the bottom and I'm trying to answer a question at the same time. That's what.
No, you're good.
That's
Sorry.
what the biggest issues. Fabian, please do tiki taka against Spain and tell me what happens. Now the banner has changed. I will now unmute the stream. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. Thank you for just, not listening to the whole Arsenal part. Yeah, let me Everyone wants to be a LeBron James in Team USA. I don't really want anyone to be a LeBron because that means they're just going to complain and whine about everything and then just choke in the biggest moments. So, yeah, that's what I would say. No, I would probably say my biggest concern with the U.S. men's national team is in defense. That's what I personally think, because when we play four backs against a very good team, or a back four rather, against a very good team, we struggle a ton. And if we go to a back five or a back three with two wing backs, whatever you guys want to call it, I feel much more comfortable with that. And then if I look at the goalkeeping situation, I mean, Matt Turner ain't great. Matt Freese doesn't really make it a ton better for me either. Like, I don't know. Like, it's not like I got Tim Howard in net or anything like that. But all I would say is I think in defense, it really scares me because Tim Ream scares me a lot as well. I mean, Chris Richards, I think he's a stud, but I mean, that's only one guy back there. You need a full unit, and I don't think we have a full unit. Like, Anthony Robinson's good, but he's gonna want to get up the field much higher. Tim Weah might have to play in that role, and he's a forward by trade. And then I look at Tim Ream, and then the other center back, which would be a mixture of, I don't know, Mark McKenzie, Miles Robinson, maybe. I think Cameron Carter-Vickers is supposed to still be out by then. But, like, I don't know. I just Tristan Blackman, another name. Like, I don't know who those center backs could be. I don't know who that other one would be because, to be honest with you guys, I don't want Tim Ream starting at all. I think he's a valuable asset just to be on the roster in terms of experience, maybe be a captain like off the field or something, or in the locker room and on the bench. I think he's very valuable. But if I'm looking at the play, the 11v11 on the field, it doesn't really. I don't want that. That scares me, man. Like, it looks awful. He's old. His legs aren't there. Like, if he wants to play the final 20 minutes, sure, I could see that. But for him to maybe play a full 90 minutes of a full World Cup game, that scares the living crap out of me. Like, I don't want that at all. Like, I think his legs are gone a little bit. I mean, Chris Richards is the only one I truly like. And the other center back, I mean, I want it to be Noah Kai Banks, but, I mean, who knows if he even gets a call-up at this point to be on any World Cup roster, whether it's the USA or Germany. The kid hasn't played in a long time. For Augsburg, that is, when the whole mess was kind of the whole conversation, I wouldn't say controversy, but the whole conversation was kind of going on there, and he didn't want anything to be a part of it. And all of a sudden, he just, like, stopped playing for whatever reason. So maybe he's up in his head about this whole World Cup decision. Fabian, you missed the 1994 Team USA team? I mean, I don't know why anyone would. I don't know why anyone would want to miss. We can talk about it. You know, a little bit if they would beat the 2026 Team USA team. They'd beat them on toughness for sure. But maybe we should have asked that to Alexi Lalas. Hey, Alexi, would your 1994 World Cup team beat this current U.S. men's national team? But yeah, my biggest concern is just in defense, because if I look up the rest of the field. Midfield wise, Tyler Adams, McKinney, if they're both fit, I think they're very good. Tanner Tessman, another one that you could maybe throw into that mix as well. And then I look offensively, Flo Balogun's been great. I think he scored 20 plus goals this year already for Monaco. Christian Pulisic, I just hope we get the good version of Christian Pulisic, not the head case version of Christian Pulisic. Mike Tillman's been fine. Maybe you throw Tim Weah up there as long as he's not punching anyone. I think we're fine. But I mean, offensively, it's not as concerning. It's still a little bit of, to be honest with you, Nate, all of this is a concern. The manager, the in-game tactics, the midfield, everything's a concern if we're really being completely honest with all of this. But I would say the biggest concern though is in the back, and that's my biggest concern.
You know, what's crazy to me is you know, obviously Mauricio Pochettino, with his knowledge around the sport, in the school in which he came from, in the experience he has being at the highest level of this game, you know, you think bringing someone like that in would create an environment in which that shared identity, but also just a shared expectation of who we're going to have on the pitch, where we're going to have them, what our form is going to look like all of those things you figure would have been ironed out. We would have known all of these things because he would have been able to take charge and really establish that. But, you know, even this short amount of time out from the World Cup starting, we're still really kind of uncertain as to what the layout is going to look like. Much like you just said, I mean, you went into the nitty gritty of all of it and listed all the different players, and I agree, we've had great individual accomplishments at the club level, but what does it all look when it comes together? We're still asking those questions this short time out from the World Cup, and so that tells me that, you know, Mauricio Pochettino, despite maybe all of his efforts, still really has not been able to put together something that is worth getting excited over. And that's the hard part, is like, I want to be on this show and be positive, and, you know, we're gonna do some great things and get excited about the World Cup. But, you know, I was driving home the other day from a different job that I was doing, and I was listening to the radio, and 96.1 is the radio station. That's the sports station here in Grand Rapids. And so I just kind of listen as I'm driving, as I always do. And, you know, there was an advertisement for apparently a new show that they're going to be having on that same 96.1 channel for an hour and some change every day. I don't know how long they're going to have it, but I think they're calling it the Soccer Hour. And I don't know who it is that's hosting it. I don't think they're in Grand Rapids. The thing is, with radio, they've kind of pivoted to podcasting more often than not. So they'll get these podcasts and they'll just air them in these specific slots. And so I don't know who's hosting it, but part of the preview is one of the hosts of the show mentioning how, hey, you know, I'm feeling really good about this team this year. You know, we have this, that, and the other. We might make a run to the semifinals. And it comes off as like propaganda and misinformation when we talk to American fans like that, because as someone who has kind of dedicated himself, and you included, to actually kind of digesting what this team is and what they have, I don't ever see that. I don't see that as even a remote possibility, because it is so disjointed. It's so all over the place. And I think the one thing that really breeds fandom is familiarity. I think when people know what they're getting, they know what they're seeing, they know what to expect, the familiarity component really gets people excited. And in that, for all the faults that Greg Berhalter had, and I don't think he was the greatest manager we've ever had by any stretch of the imagination. Like I said, his greatest accomplishment was a scoreless draw against England in the World Cup. I mean, but if that's your greatest accomplishment, that's not saying much. But the one thing that we could get out of, you know, Mr. T-shirt, Mr. Cool Uncle in Greg Berhalter, was we knew what we were going to get in terms of our 11. We knew who was going to be on the pitch. We had at least a really good understanding. Now, obviously, Gio Reyna and all that stuff, that obviously threw a wrench into all of that. But at the very least, we knew what Greg was bringing to the table. Mauricio Pochettino, it's just, you don't know. You really never know. And we seemed a step slower against Portugal and Belgium. I understand that it's just a friendly, but we had pretty much our starting 11 out there, and they looked just completely and utterly lost. So I think the biggest issue, and again, I mean, can you really point to one when it comes to USA Soccer? I mean, I think there's probably more than just one reason. Yeah, I mean, you said everything, and, you know, but that's not good for conversation, right? We got to actually get into what everything means. But the biggest part of it, and I was really happy that John Kowalski came on and confirmed that, because it's always interesting, you know, when I say it doesn't mean a whole lot, but, you know, apparently when he says it, it means a whole lot more, because it does, because he's seen it and he understands it and he knows it. And that's exactly it. And so that's why I think, you know, if this ends up being a complete and utter failure this year in the World Cup, you know, restructuring USA Soccer, I don't think the whole pay for play and all that's going to go away. It's not like we'll have a complete renaissance, but I think in the way of getting someone into that seat that Mauricio Pochettino's in, that's in it for the long haul and wants to actually try and sort out this mess that we have in terms of, you know, we got a lot of players that are all really talented and they're all playing at these different places, but we don't know how to put it all together. There might be a massive shift there. I mean, I think Poach is gone regardless, but it might have to be a complete identity change, just the way USA Soccer goes about business when that comes about.
So real quick, we bring us some good points, but we got to give a quick shout out. So Fabian says, we just confirmed everything for the Peru Academy for my kid. I would like to send you guys some autographed team jerseys. Let me know from the coach who played in Greece and represented Peru in the World Cup. Yeah, would love to. Also, congratulations
Be awesome.
to your son for being a part of the academy. Best of luck to him and their teams. They are in the top 100 academies in the world. Okay. All right. Maybe we'll have your son when he becomes big in the soccer sphere, and we'll get him on the show, and we'll have like the one of the best players in the world on the show, and be like, "How did you guys get that?" We chatted with his dad all the time on our show back in 2020.
Yeah, we're buddies.
So yeah, we've known him for a while. Anyway, I think you bring up a really good point about the in it for the long haul. If we look at the mess that is a U.S. men's national team manager, it's felt like ever since Jurgen Klinsman, which we'll talk about Jurgen Klinsman later because I think he brings up some really good points, and we've kind of talked about, what he's upset about a couple times on the show throughout the last 365 days or so after this World Cup. And I would say since Jurgen Klinsman got fired, because it went from Bob Bradley, there's probably an interim in there. It's been a complete mess when it comes to the managers. It's been an absolute disaster. Because you think about it, since Jurgen Klinsman left, since I started watching, it went Bob Bradley 2007 to 2011. Jurgen Klinsman takes over from 11 to 16. And then remember, Bruce Arena was in there for a second after Klinsman to help with the World Cup situation. And then we have, I believe... Yeah, then we have an interim in Dave Saracan, I don't know. And then it goes to Greg Berhalter's first stint from 2018 to 2022. Then you have two interims in there as well, and B.J. Callahan and Anthony Hudson. And then all of a sudden it's like, boom, Greg Berhalter's back again for Copa America, another tournament that we just sucked at. And then another interim, and then it becomes Mauricio Pochettino. So since Jurgen Klinsman, who was a part of at least, I would probably say 1.5 World Cup cycles, because he obviously had qualified for 14, and then he got booted in 16. So, there has not been a manager that has been in the seat for the U.S. men's national team for, longer than 5 years since Jurgen Klinsman in 2016. Berhalter, technically in his time there, has been there for over 5 years, but his stint was, I think, just under 4 years originally, and then you had the whole Gio Reyna debacle or anything like that, which I was kind of disappointed in the DCFC faithful that they didn't make a Gio Reyna chant when they played. I'm just saying. I think that would have been great. I think it would have been funny. But anyway, there has not been a guy in the seat for the U.S. men's national team for such a long time. And you look at the other side for the U.S. women's national team. Obviously, winning helps, but they have had coaches that were there forever. I think in my life, I have seen only 4 U.S. women's national team head coaches. Jill Ellis, and then obviously she won 2, I believe, and then obviously Emma Hayes. I was like, dude, who in the world is that head coach? Anyway, and then the guy that's not from here, Vlatko, he was in there as well. So, I mean, the U.S. women's national team has stabilized the coaching position. But it feels like when it comes to the U.S. men's national team, it's either a job that no one really wanted, like a Mauricio Pochettino, but, hey, I'm out of a job. I need some money. I want to get back in the game. You have that, or in Jurgen Klinsman's case as well, or it's just a feature of, okay, I'll be here for a couple windows. And it's you can't really build anything. It's kind of like Michigan football in a way. If you entered the team in 2023, you'd be on your 3rd head coach right now. If you were to stay from 2023 to now.
Yeah, but
you'd be on
I guess
3
the
head
one
coaches.
thing Michigan does do is they hire their own people. Clearly the U.S. men's national team does not. USA Soccer does not.
Berhalter's
they
American.
have
Bruce Arena.
I think
Bradley,
they tried.
Callahan.
They tried to go completely to the opposite with Mauricio Pochettino. It's like they tried to go a different direction.
Well,
so I guess that's why. This World Cup is going to answer how this experiment went for USA Soccer, assuming that he's not going to stick around after the World Cup. Again, this is all assuming that Mauricio Pochettino is gone.
I mean, we know why Pochettino's here. It's so we don't embarrass ourselves like we did in Copa America. Like Copa America, we should not have had Greg Berhalter at all. That should have been the tune-up to the World Cup. That should have been, you get out of the group, you maybe win a game or two in the quarterfinals, get to the semifinals. Hey, if you lose to Argentina 5-0 like you did last time, who cares? Like, obviously, we kind of expected that. But give the people something to, kind of get behind a little bit, rally around a little bit. Don't get grouped, which obviously getting grouped, get Greg Berhalter out of there, which is fine for me personally. But, I mean, it's like, guys, come on. Pochettino is he's simply here to not embarrass ourselves. A couple comments, which I do want to talk about one real quick. The girls play better soccer than the boys in the United States. I mean, if I'm being honest, they're a little similar. I mean, if you look at the women's game, it's getting there a little bit in terms of the whole tactical and everything. But for the most part, it's athleticism. How athletic are you? And the most athletic girls are Americans. I'm just saying. Look at Trinity Rodman. She scored a great goal yesterday, by the way. And then bring Pep Guardiola for Team USA. Well, first off, Pep Guardiola wants Italy. I don't know if you saw that this weekend where he was like, yeah, I won't turn down Italy. I wouldn't mind managing there, which would be so awesome. Get him out of the Premier League. I'm just saying, please get him out of here. But I'm just saying, he would take Italy. Even if you were to give us, you could give us Pep Guardiola, you could give us Didier Deschamps, you could give us, heck, we'll even take Pochettino, and you could give us another assistant coach, and you could give us Sir Alex Ferguson for the fun of it, all in their primes, and we'd still somehow not get out of the group. We could have the greatest coaches of all time, and we would still get grouped. That's just the reality of it. Throw $10 million a year to Pep Guardiola. It doesn't change anything. Maybe we would look a little bit better against the big sides, but if we're being honest, Pep Guardiola wouldn't have $1 billion to spend like he does at most places, so to help reinforce the squad. So I'm just saying, it's like you could give what's a basketball? You could give because Canada's kind of good, Serbia's kind of good, France is good. You could give Brazil. You could give the Brazil basketball team Steve Kerr. You could give Coach K, you could give Dusty May, you could give Dan Hurley, you could give what's another good NBA head coach? Doc Rivers. You could give them all those coaches. They'll still lose by 30 to Team USA. But hey, man, their coaches are there. Yes, coaches help, but you guys also have to have the players. Certain things would look different, but for the most part, it wouldn't do anything. You could give what was the worst year of the Tigers? 2021 or 2020? Give them the best managers in the world.
Probably 2001 when they nearly broke
I'm just saying recently. I'm just saying recently.
Oh, futility.
2020, 2021, something like that.
Probably, yeah.
You could give them all that. You could give them all the best coaches, the best hitting coaches, best pitching coaches, whatever. We would still lose like 100 games or whatever it is. The team isn't good. The players aren't good. It's the players. It's the majority of the players. Yeah. Coaches help. Don't get me wrong.
So much. Yeah. Only so much you can do about it, unfortunately. Let's take another break. You mentioned Jurgen Klinsman. Let's talk a little bit about him. He was actually talking about some of his players leaving for the MLS in big money moves way back when the league started. We'll talk about that coming up next here on Inside the Game.
So the dream behind Irene's was simply to be a place where the community could come and gather. This is my hometown. We're raising our family here, and we just want to be a space where people can come together as a community and share a great meal. We've got golf simulators, we got pinball, live music, trivia nights, but we also have fresh, always homemade, locally sourced food, and we serve it with a sense of Gemütlichkeit. This is a German word that conveys a sense of warmth and coziness and belonging. We're excited to show off how we're growing and that this is the place to be.
Inside the Game, 279 here on the National Soccer Network. My name's Nate. He is Ryan. That's it. Yeah, Ryan. Sorry, I forgot your name for a second.
Wow.
No, I'm kidding. Let's get into the next part of our conversation. We're talking U.S. men's national team. Jurgen Klinsman. We were talking about him a little bit as well. Opening up about how sad he was when some of his best U.S. men's national team players actually came back to the MLS for big money moves. Ryan, go ahead and break down this one.
So Klinsman obviously was on that little coaching show or whatever it was with Bob Bradley and stuff and Stu Holden. And he just talked about, when guys like Michael Bradley and what's his name? Josie Altidore and Clint Dempsey came over. And he says after the 2014 World Cup, big picturing thinking, Don Garber said, you know what? We've had our top players in Europe for the last 6 to 8 years. We want them back. So the players came to me and said, Coach, I have an offer to come back for an incredible amount of money financially. So the risk was taken by the MLS. They took the risk and said they want our best players back in the MLS. How did I feel inside as a coach? It hurts a little bit because, AS Roma, Michael, come on, stay there. You'll play the Champions League, or Clint with Tottenham. To be honest, Jurgen, I don't think Tottenham was getting into Champions League at that time. And then Josie Altidore in Sunderland. I flew to Sunderland, and he came off the bench. The owner 2 weeks later told me that he had an offer on the table from the MLS, and they just could not believe it. I mean, I cannot blame the players, even if I wanted them to stay in Europe. I also knew I had to learn to understand them in terms of what is their future, and it's the MLS future to step up, and they stepped it up again, and they're stepping up every couple of years. Now Messi is playing. As a national team coach, you kind of understand you've got to bring yourself back down and say, okay, maybe I'm too European and looking at things here, and to accept it. So look, for the league itself as the MLS, which there's very good financial backing, they could afford to overpay for all these different types of players to the MLS, and especially our best players. Like, it will be one day that Christian Pulisic will be playing in the MLS. One day. I don't know when it'll be. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's past 2030 is what I would say. Hopefully it's past then. Yeah. Maybe same thing with McKennie, same thing with Tyler Adams. But I'm saying, as of right now, we cannot have our best players playing in the MLS as a U.S. men's national team. If we want to succeed as a men's national team, our best players have to go overseas and play. That's just the reality of it, because there's a couple things that can happen. One, they play better competition. They play in better environments. It's going to help our men's national team as a whole. Two, if these guys would most likely probably get into coaching, I would assume so at some point. They would probably get into coaching, and that's going to help our youth development later on down the line. I know Landon Donovan's got some weird 10-step plan or something for reshaping all of youth soccer that he hasn't even said anything. So that'll help us in the long run. Maybe they're academy people. It's connections. It's like a coaching tree almost. But it branches over into Europe. So there's that as well. But for the MLS, obviously, to help grow the game, it would do that factor. It would tremendously help grow the league, especially domestically here in the United States. Because if you ask most American soccer fans, they would say they're teams of Manchester City, Man United, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich. That's what they would say. They would not say their favorite team is Inter Miami or LAFC or the Philadelphia Union. They might say that as a second favorite team, but their first favorite team would not be that. And when it comes to the MLS, because I think we are going to see a couple U.S. men's national team players from the World Cup roster make their way to the MLS. I believe that full-heartedly. I think Gio Reyna might be one of those candidates to make his way over here. I think a guy like Brendan Aronson might be one of those guys that make his way over here. Maybe an Ajaman, a Haji Wright might make their way over here. Like, I just feel like if you are going to do something like this, and for the sake of USA soccer, for us on the international stage, the best thing that you could do in order to bring some of those World Cup guys over here is you are bringing not the starters, but maybe some of the bench players and like the tier below the starters and or the first couple guys off the bench. That's what the best interest is for USA soccer. That's what you do. You don't bring in the Christian Pulisic's. You don't bring in the Weston McKennies, which kind of scares me about with Pulisic's contract situation. Maybe a team like the LA Galaxy is like, dude, we'll pay you an insane amount of money. Come play over here. Now Pulisic's playing in the MLS during his prime years. So maybe you don't touch those guys. Don't touch a McKennie. Don't touch an Adams. Don't touch Chris Richards. Do not touch the starters that are playing overseas. Find the players that are kind of on the bubble of making U.S. men's national team World Cup rosters. Find those guys, bring them over here because it'll help grow the game here, but it will also help grow the league personally. But please do not take those types of players away from of Europe.
I mean, you got to give Jurgen Klinsman a little bit of credit because I do think he realized the emotional component that goes behind this. Yeah, the MLS is very much financially viable and they can afford big contracts. And even then, with the owners that were going in on the MLS and the money that they were willing to put up, yeah, of course, it's an attractive offer to take that money and run with it. But I do think there is an emotional component to this. And it was something that Alexi Lalas even talked about during our conversation with him. There was a tremendous amount of pride for these players to, look at the MLS and go, hey, we're going to have a big league in our own country. And so for them, and I think for Jurgen Klinsman too, it was a hard reality to come to that, of course, they want to play at home. Of course, they want to be in their own country where they're from. But does that mean that the MLS will ever overtake or be on the same level as the Premier League or the Champions League? No, it will never, in my mind, it will never amount to what we see in those leagues. It's going to get better and they're going to continue to add stars. And obviously it is more of a household name now than it ever has been in its 30-year history. But I don't see ever a world in which the top American players ever come back to the MLS and play. To your point, I think if the MLS is serious about raising its level of play and continuing to be more competitive, and not only that, but keeping the top American players in America, because I think that's the hardest thing to do. I mean, we talked about it. Every young soccer player does not grow up thinking they want to play or dreaming of playing for the Colorado Rapids. The Colorado Rapids is just another stepping stone on the way up. And that's no offense to Colorado. I'm just being honest from what we've seen and what we've understood. The biggest part about, and I know that we've talked about how the MLS is kind of a selling league. And for a lot of these young players, if they sell them at a high enough price, and if they, get that big transfer over to a big club, it's another notch in the belt for Major League Soccer. But if that's the case, then the goal is not to grow the domestic game. The goal is to just simply be a feeder program for the bigger leagues in the world. And if that's the case, then we need to set our expectations realistically, which is we're not going to get the best American talent to stick around in Major League Soccer, because anytime there is a young, budding, truly talented player, he's going to end up in Europe. I mean, it's the same, mentality as we talk about mid-majors in college athletics. I mean, you would love to keep your group of 5 guys around playing at, Davidson that end up making a run to the Elite 8 or the Final 4, but you understand that that's not going to happen. Sometimes it has that same, I know that's just one team, but you could just talk about mid-majors in general. Conferences are bleeding talent because, again, you get a kid in there, he turns out to be pretty good, he leaves. And so the biggest focus, I think, if I'm Major League Soccer right now, has to be how do we retain the young, budding, talented players that are in our league right now, like a Kevin Sullivan. I posted about him the other day. Cooper Sanchez is another example of a kid. He's 18 years old, probably going to be playing in Europe at some point because of how talented he is. A lot of the U18s, U19s, those players, if you can keep those guys in the United States, then that over the course of years is only going to continue to build on it. But I don't I just don't believe the mentality is there, nor do I think that this whole thing of, well, we all need them to be playing here in order to realize our potential in on the international stage. I think it's more of a product of they just don't all play in the same league, and they don't all play around each other all the time, wherever that is, and they're scattering in Europe. Now that would be a lot easier to do if they were back here in Major League Soccer, but again, they're not going to willingly do that. Because, it's funny when I watch these MLS highlights, and even when I post some of them, even like with Cooper Sanchez the other day, like, it's just like blatant defensive miscues, like bad bounces, just not pretty sometimes. And it's like, yeah, I'm like, okay, nice, a highlight, but also like, what the hell was going on the other side? Like, it just seemed like Max Arston had a goal the other day that was just a walk-in because the guy who was supposed to be marking him was like 7 miles away. So it's, it's not going to garner the respect from everyone all over the place, but you need to get those younger kids to stick around, because that's where you kind of build from the bottom up. But if you're a feeder league, you're a feeder league. But I don't know if that was the goal initially when the MLS came around. The MLS was started, I imagine, to get the best players from the U.S. to play in the U.S., but it isn't that. So somewhere along the line, I don't think it was Don Garber. I mean, obviously he's done a great job in terms of the amount of money that MLS has made, and 5 teams valued at over $1 billion, which is just mind numbing to me. That's crazy. But have you created a league in which the best from here are playing here? I think the answer to that is an emphatic no. But I think at the time, Jurgen Klinsman thought that maybe it would be that. But, would it have been better to just leave our top players in Europe this whole time? I don't know.
I mean, I don't think it would change us to winning a World Cup or anything like that. I don't think we have the capabilities of doing that. But I would say just it would help our we might be competitive a little bit more against teams. Like we talked about the other day about like what is it like to even be a Minnesota or Rutgers in college athletics, like knowing that you will never win anything truly. Like, I guess we could look at the U.S. men's national team knowing that we probably will never win a World Cup, at least in our lifetime. And that's a little bit crazy to think. All we want is like a couple of runs. We just want a couple of runs, a couple of cracks at this thing. And if I look at, the different teams around the world, which there's a really good comment in here somewhere from Fabian, because he mentions, the same thing that Italy the same thing Italy has to do with their soccer is what you are recommending for Team USA. Yeah, I would agree with that. And then he throws this one in here. Brazil hasn't won since 2002. They get to the World Cup, but they don't want to work as a team. They're a bunch of Kardashians. Yeah, that's the one I wanted to get to. That's funny. But to your point of the younger kids, I mean, Xavier Gazzo went on a show. He got interviewed this week, and he's like, yeah, my goal is, he's 19, and he goes, yeah, my goal is to go over to Europe this summer. That's my goal. He goes, I want to get bought by a European club. I play for Real Salt Lake right now, but my goal is to get bought by a true team. And that is just that's what these kids want. The MLS is not a destination league. The MLS is to get your feet wet or to end your career. That's basically what it is. Like if you were to ask the head of any country in the world that plays basketball, and you were to say, what do you want? What's the goal for your players? I would say 99.9% of them would say either to play in college in the United States or to get into the NBA. But they would all say play basketball in America. Guys, we have the best league in every single sport. And it's hard. I understand it's hard for people to grasp that we don't have the best league, especially when it comes to soccer.
Yeah.
But we have to realize that if we just turn into develop youngsters through our academies, sell them off, and then we let the Americans just, play the twilight of their career and some others play the twilight of their career, that's fine. Because you're still going to get people to come to your games to be like, dude, I want to watch Messi play at least once. I want to see a guy like Zlatan Ibrahimovic play. I want to see that. And you would get that. But for the sake of the U.S. men's national team, if our goal is to improve, if the MLS is a place to improve our league or improve our national team, bringing our players back is not the case. Send them off and then let them finish their careers here. A couple other comments coming in. But what is the pipeline with the MLS? Is it ECNL or MLS next? I would say, obviously it's MLS next, and USL has all their USL Academy situations and stuff like that. Is it better to go abroad like my son is doing, college, ECNL, MLS next? Like, there's no exact pyramid to know how to go about it. Yeah, Fabian, you're just as confused as we are here too. So, like, look, we've said it time and time again on the show. There is no exact pathway to become pro in soccer in the United States. There's not.
Mm-hmm.
You can play, youth soccer, and then you can maybe go to college, maybe get picked up by a pro team. I mean, you have USL 2, USL League 1, USL Championships. That's its own separate thing. UPSL is its own separate thing. Maybe you got NISA in there. That's its own separate thing. And then you have MLS next with the MLS. And yes, the MLS next in their other MLS academies can be a pipeline to get you into the MLS. But to be honest with you, Fabian, it's all confusing. There's so many different pathways and so many different stories that soccer players make in America. But like, it's weird for people to even grasp that, because how do you go pro in the NBA if you're an American? Oh, well, you play AAU, play some high school. Maybe you go to a prep high school, and you eventually go to college, and hopefully you get drafted. Same thing with football.
Mm-hmm.
Hockey, same thing for the most part. And baseball, same thing for the most part. Obviously, there's a couple exceptions, or there's a lot of exceptions where people skip
hockey's
college
probably
and go straight to the minors.
Hockey's probably closest to soccer in the way of like clubs and travel and AAU, and I don't know what they call it in hockey, but youth clubs and stuff like that. So if anything, I think it's probably closest. I think we just benefit from the fact that not as many countries play hockey. I mean, it's us, Canada, Russia, Sweden. Those are the big dogs. But then
Germany.
outside of that, Germany, I guess.
I was told to go abroad and get into an academy that is in the top 100. I mean, I don't know what the overseas is like. So get minutes, do good, and see if he gets picked up in the MLS or Europe. And man, I don't necessarily know what the pathway is for. To be honest with you, I don't really know what the pathway is for Puerto Rico, or obviously to get into Europe and all that stuff. But hey, best of luck to your son. Congratulations on getting into the academy.
Let's talk coming up on the other side a little bit about Julian Hall. I know we've mentioned him on this show. He is a dual nat, could be targeted by Poland of all places.
Polska.
We'll also get into our Polska. We'll get into our our all sports conversation as well. But first, Barca Academy is a proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network and the official academy of the FC Barcelona in the United States. Designed for boys and girls ages 6 to 18, Barca Academy camps follow and replicate the FC Barcelona game model. Same philosophy used by Barca's professional coaching staff. Right now, you can save $30 on registration by using promo code FCB30, or you can scan the QR code on your screen. fcbarcelona.us/camps.
In Barca camp, I see my son grown on and off of the field. Don't miss the time to register.
Sign up now for Barca camp.
Inside the Game continues here in hour number 2, episode 279, with Nate and Ryan. Talk a little bit about Julian Hall. Ryan Glinsky, I know we mentioned before the break, could be targeted by Poland as a dual nat. 8 goals in 10 games for Julian Hall, one of the brightest young players in our system. And you had mentioned throughout the course of this week, and I know we just talked about some of the biggest concerns for the U.S. men's national team, but including one of the teens in the World Cup, just putting one of them on the World Cup roster. He could be, but apparently looks like Poland is looking like they're trying to key in on taking Julian Hall away. Just initial thoughts on seeing this.
It's guys, I swear, USA, we just do stuff backwards sometimes. That's why I say get them in the academy or get them in the roster, get them cap tied as soon as you possibly can. So I look at there's a couple players, Gazzo being one of them, as we mentioned, Mehmeti, Julian Hall, and Kevin Sullivan, and there's one more I'm blanking on. There's one more player that I mentioned that we need to get him cap tied as soon as possible. Yes, Fabian, Ronaldo Jr. is technically a dual national. Dave, dude, that's a very good comment. I'll get to that one after this. Yes, technically Ronaldo Jr. could play for the U.S. men's national team one day. He was born here, so maybe we could see Ronaldo Jr. rocking the USMNT in a World Cup one day. I highly doubt that happens. But anyway, Julian Hall, targeted by Poland. There's a guy in the Red Bull organization, franchise, whatever you want to call it, club, whatever, that has Polish ties and everything. And I guess they're, trying to target Julian Hall a little bit. And it's the same thing with the Bosnian kid, the Milwaukee Messi or whatever that they called him, and he sends him to a World Cup, and he's playing well. So, look, when we have these crop of players, they're not the greatest teenagers in the world, but they're good players, and they have potential to be very good. They could all very well flame out. Kevin Sullivan, when he turns 18, when he's able to move to Man City, could very well flame out. We could never see anything from him again. We might not see anything from him ever again, period. Just saying. We might not be able to see him ever again. But the thing is they have potential, and when you have a group of guys that have a ton of potential playing together, Matthias Albert, that's the one I was thinking of, Matthias Albert, that was the other one. Yes, the media would do. Could you imagine the American media frenzy if Ronaldo Jr. was playing for the U.S. men's national team? Dear Lord. We thought LeBron James was bad. Wait till you see Ronaldo Jr. in a U.S. men's national team jersey in the red, white, and blue. Oh, dear Lord. I don't want that at all. That's going to be so annoying. Anyway, these guys, for the most part, every soccer player that's an American has some sort, really all of them, have some sort of dual national opportunity. That's how the United States is made up. Like, every single citizen. I got Polish, Hungarian in me. You have at least Irish that I know of. And what else you got?
I'm a mutt, man. I'm a little bit of everything.
Look, exactly. So every single player has some sort of dual national citizenship that they could potentially play for. And the importance is to get these kids cap tied as soon as possible. Just bring them into a friendly window. After the World Cup, the next 3 windows of friendlies, I could give 2 craps about, because there ain't nothing that we're playing for at that point in time. There is absolutely nothing. Get these teenagers involved, and to be honest with you, if we flame out, everyone should have a blank space. Everyone should be like, all right, slate's wiped clean. Everyone sucked at the World Cup. Let's see what we can do building into 2030. So that's what I'm saying. Julian Hall, again, this might be the best stretch he could ever have. 8 goals in like 10 games or whatever it is. We've seen prospects start off hot and flame out. That's all I got to say. But this is the comment we talked about it. We talked about it, I think, the other day on the show or last week. Dave says, so when the U.S. comes together, it's a lot of different philosophies that don't work well with each other. The problem is each European league has different styles of play. Italian league is defensive. Spanish is 100 miles per hour. Germany, very structured. English is time on the ball. Yeah, like you've got Pulisic, McKennie, obviously, they're rocking with Juventus and AC Milan. You then have Chris Richards in the Prem, Tyler Adams in the Prem, Malik Tillman's in the Bundesliga, Tim Weah's in Ligue 1. Like, these players are all over the place. And it's like, if you were to look at Bayern Munich in 2014, majority of that starting 11 was on Bayern Munich for Germany. Argentina, I couldn't really, they're all over the place, but they still won. France, for the most part, is all kind of in the same spot for the most part. Who won in 2010? Spain, and they had it was all Real Madrid and Barcelona for the most part. Italy, all kind of the same thing, and so yeah, no, that's the biggest issue I think when it comes to the men's national team is all these players don't play with each other, and especially in the same league. Like you go to the NBA, every American's on an NBA team. Every American that plays on Team USA hockey, they're on an NHL team, and MLB baseball, same thing. So yeah, that's the biggest issue I think when it comes to U.S. men's national team.
I imagine there has to be a divider for a lot of players between what their professional pursuits are as it comes to clubs and where they want that part of their career to go. And then the other side of that, which is obviously the international game and what they represent in terms of the country they play for. Like there's a divider there. So when we talk about the MLS and we talk about young players wanting to get out of the MLS and go play in Europe and that's their goal, I don't really take much of an issue with that at all because, frankly, that's where the best teams are. You want to be a part of that. But can we ever get these kids that are coming up to get to a point to where on the other side of that aisle, we talk about the international game, they want to play for the U.S. men's national team. Well, how do we get them there? My guess is doing exactly what we're talking about right now and the thing that you're mentioning, which is getting them cap tied as soon as possible. Because I don't really care where they play. But if they all want to play for the U.S. men's national team, and if they all want to be in that room together, and if they all want to conjoin their efforts in order to really build something special, that's a really big step forward. But it takes an actual effort of almost turning the clock back for USA Soccer. And listen, I know that this is apples and oranges. Okay, I get it. This is not the same comparison. But I do think about USA Hockey sometimes in one respect, in that if you go back to the 2006 Olympics, they finished 8th. I think they went 1-4-1 in that tournament. They were bad for many a years. They were bad.
They're horrible.
And it was because
they had 2010. That was about it.
They kept putting the same old dudes in the same spots, old reliables, like the guys that they knew what they were going to get out of them, and then they didn't get much out of them. What did they do in 2010, though? They went the exact opposite direction, almost to an extreme with some of the young guys that they put in there. And, Ryan Miller and all these dudes that were young. Some of them were unproven, but they were like more prospects than anything. What do? They get all the way to the gold medal game and fall short. Now, I know 2014, 2018 were disappointments, but you saw this almost this focused effort by USA Hockey to go, we have to get the young dudes in there, the prospects in there, and just whether they fall flat on their face, whether they do well, I don't care. But the one thing that they're going to do is get face time with this national team, and it's going to reinvigorate this kind of push to get USA Hockey to the next level. We're getting away from our old way of doing things, and we're almost drastically going the other direction. And it took a long time, but 16 years later, it led to a gold medal. Now, again, this is apples and oranges. This is not the same thing, but I still think the mentality of going, we have to have a youthful focus on building this U.S. men's national team by getting these teenagers, not just in the room, but getting them FaceTime, getting them minutes, getting them playing time. Like that has to be, in my mind, that has to be priority number one for USA Soccer. They have to turn the clock back. And, you mentioned Tim Ream a little bit earlier. I'm sure Tim Ream is a wealth of knowledge. The thing is about vets is like, they don't just establish leadership in terms of what they do on the field. It's everything in and around the game and in and around the training room and all those things that he could really establish. And I'm sure he would make a great coach, but would I rather have him out there? Or maybe someone who's only 20, 21 years old who actually has the legs and the guile to be able to hang with some of the better players that we're going up against. So it has to be a concerted effort for sure for USA Soccer.
You bring up a really good point there, and it kind of reminds me. What you're picturing is kind of reminding me of what the 2014 World Cup roster looked like. Obviously, you had your staples in there like Tim Howard, Clint Dempsey. Where's his name, man? I just saw it. DeMarcus Beasley, Josie Altidore, those guys. Obviously, that was the infamous Landon Donovan got snubbed World Cup. Man, Landon Donovan's fine. He can do whatever he wants. But in that mix, there was a couple of really young guys. DeAndre Yedlin, who eventually would make a move to Tottenham that year from Seattle Sounders. Where's his name? Mix Discrude obviously was a name. He kind of flamed out, but a lot of people had high hopes for him. Julian Green, another name that was said out there, and then obviously John Brooks, which was a name that was said, when he scored the goal against Ghana. So there was for the most part, those three out of the four that I named made an impact in that World Cup. Julian Green scored in the round of 16. John Brooks scored in the group stage, and then DeAndre Yedlin was playing a ton of minutes. So that was a good mix of guys who wanted to, prove to themselves, prove to the world that they could play this game, being the young guys. And two, you had some savvy vets who wanted nothing to do but win, and Tim Howard and Clint Dempsey and Michael Bradley and DeMarcus Beasley, Josie Altidore. Those guys, that was a very good mix. So I kind of understand what you're saying there is where we could bring in, again, I'm not saying these youngsters are going to, all of a sudden they're going to take us to the World Cup final or anything like that, or a semifinal or anything. But I'm just saying, if we could get in a good mix of guys like Wes McKennie, Tyler Adams, who truly, truly want this thing, Pulisic too. Yeah. But if we could get, maybe in some areas where it feels like, what, these young guys really, really want it. They're super hungry. Let's see what they could do. I feel like it's a little too late for some of those guys that are just kind of making their way right now. But if you could put one, maybe two, in the roster just to be on the camp, because I know it's an expanded roster this year because of the expanded World Cup. But if you could get maybe a good mix of that, maybe it helps. Maybe you bring on one of these players and, they create a goal for us. When we need a goal to, maybe tie up a game or get a point or maybe get 3 points or something like that, or get us into a knockout or get us, into extra time or advance us through. So I think that we need to get a good mix of those kids in there.
And they know each other. And if you put them in that position and they come away from that experience being like, wow, I want to do this again. And I don't want to do this again just to be here. I want to be in there. I want to be playing. I want to be representing the crest, whatever it is. They're all friends. All these young kids who are coming up playing together, you think the sports world's a big world. It's not, man. I mean, it is. There are very few degrees of separation when it comes to sports media, when it comes to players. Like, they all know each other, whether they be following each other on social media, playing together. So it only takes maybe a couple of them to turn around to the remainder of that group, and then conversations start. And then maybe, again, if USA Soccer is willing to, take a page out of the humility playbook and be willing to turn back the clock this way, then maybe it starts a trend. Maybe it starts a movement amongst some of the best that our country, the youngest and best that our country has to offer. And that's, we want to play for the U.S. men's national team. Like, if we can ever get to that point, that's when things will change. But for now, I mean, with how many dual nationals there are, and specifically with a lot of them recently that have gone, I'd rather play anywhere else. It only takes one or two to really set a trend. I think of, the story of the Fab Five. I mean, Michigan got two of those guys, and then they reached out to the remainder of the three and went, let's all go together to Michigan and shock the world. Now, obviously they shocked the world in one way. That was, taking a timeout when they didn't have one, but, they nearly did it because they all came together and decided to do it together. And so if you get one or two in there, maybe 3 or 4 or 5, maybe you get more interest from these younger
6,
kids being like
7, 8. You mean that?
Yeah.
No,
something like that.
Speaking of basketball, college basketball, you know that 7'9" guy for Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he just transferred to UC Irvine.
Interesting. Okay.
So he clearly wasn't going to make it at Florida. Well, if you look at their roster, dude, they brought back everyone. Condon, Howe, the Chululu guy, dude. Florida might be a favorite to win it all next year. Fabian says, my son dreams to play for Team USA. Well, damn it. We got to get him in. We got to get him in on Team USA. We've got to get him. That's what we wanted. We wanted heart on this roster. We need it.
Let's go, man. Let's go. Well, and, I also think about, like, does that dream change for young kids as they're coming up through the sport? Like, do they start off cheering for the U.S. men's national team? Do they start off wanting
I would say
to maybe
so.
be
if they're
there?
American, I would say so.
But, like, does that change somewhere along the line? Do they learn that that's not the cool thing to do, and that, this team's never going to win anything and they suck or whatever you have,
I would say
whatever it is.
I would say it kind of depends. It depends on what your background is. Like, when I was playing soccer, there was a lot of Italian Americans or Albanians,
Yeah.
and all they wanted to see was Italy or Albania, do well. They didn't care what the USA was doing. I think it depends on what your background is. Maybe, how deep into your nationalities you're all into. So like if I was in a super deep rooted Polish or Hungarian culture, maybe I would rather see Poland and Hungary do better than the United States. And I think that is also a little bit of an issue when it comes to the U.S. men's national team, is that some people want to see different countries do well. Like, I think that is a true reality. Like, if you were, like, obviously, when it comes to hockey, everyone that's an American wants to see Team USA do well. Or same thing with basketball and everything else. They all want to see those nations, they want the Team USAs to do well. Like, the gold medal that obviously happened this year with USA Hockey. There is now a generation of young hockey players that all they want to do is to win a gold medal for Team USA. They want to be Jack Hughes. They want to be the Kachucks. Damn near do I say Dylan Larkin, because clearly he's good. Maybe they want to be Dylan Larkin or Matt Boldy for all I know, or Connor Hellebuck. And then obviously you look at the Team USA and what they did in the Olympics for basketball not too long ago. Now we have a generation that wants to have their golden dagger in Steph Curry and LeBron James and Kevin Durant and all those guys. We still don't have that USA soccer moment. We don't have that Christian Pulisic 90th minute curler in the top net to send us through to a quarterfinal or a semifinal. We don't have anything like that. And I think, though, at the same time, if we can get that, if we can just get that moment, maybe, just maybe, we would turn some of those people who want Team Italy to do well, or Team Albania to do well, or Spain to do well. Maybe if we can get that moment, we can convert some of those people who would rather just see Team USA all the time. Fabian says my son sees sees USA flags all over the place, or in his house. Hey, keep him coming. Hey, when he becomes big, and we need him for the U.S. men's national team, and he delivers us a World Cup, that'd be sick.
I'll never forget when I was in Laredo, Texas for a job interview once upon a time. I was looking at sports information director positions, and Texas A&M International had some interest. Now, if you don't know anything about Laredo, International,
is that like a U of M Flint and U of M Dearborn?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're Division II. So it's like, I think it's under the A&M flag, but you have A&M Corpus Christi, you have A&M International. So it's just like different
Corpus
branches.
Christi like the main one?
Think so. I mean, it's right on the coast. So
where is A&M?
College Station.
Is that the city?
Which I don't even know. I think that's literally the name of the city, isn't it?
It is College Station. I thought that was just like. I thought that was just a
the nickname for the.
I thought that was just a nickname or something.
Was.
I know that was actually a city. Okay.
So College Station, Texas, but International is in Laredo. So I think it's the second southernmost city in Texas, outside of Brownsville, I believe. And I mean, it's literally right across the river from Mexico. And I remember them telling me that the only real time, or the one time that you will see like all the bars full, all the restaurants full, is USA and Mexico, or really anytime the Mexican national team plays. And it will be all Mexico fans. And I imagine Texas is a lot like that in general. But, I mean, that's the West Coast. I mean, look at any time the U.S. men's national team wants to play a game on the West Coast. It's still so crazy to me looking back at the Nations League when we played, Panama, I believe, in the 4 o'clock slot or the 3 o'clock slot, whatever it was. And then we have Team Mexico playing at 7 o'clock in the primetime game against Canada. Is like this in your own country, man. But that's just
reality.
The reality of, it is what it is. And so I do agree. I think, and that's why we talk about 2026 in the way that we do, like, cause a run in this tournament would completely change everything.
Especially at home too.
Right. But have we seen any indications that that's going to be the case?
No, we have not.
No. So that's the hard part. But Let's step aside here for a little bit. When we come back, we can finally get into our all sports talk. We got Pistons. They won yesterday. We can also talk about
Pistons won
apparently
again.
LeBron James. LeBron James cries a whole lot and a bunch of other things. We'll also get into your mailbag segment too, Ryan, because I know we got a lot of comments to get to. But Man City Soccer Camps are a proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network. World-class training inspired by Man City's global football philosophy. Players across the United States. Open to boys and girls of all skill levels. These camps focus on technical development, decision-making, and playing the game the City way. Right now, you can save $30 on registration by using promo code MCNSN30 or scan the QR code on your screen. Find a camp near you, usacamps.mancity.com. Conversation rolls along here in hour number 2 on the National Soccer Network. Nate Wangler, Ryan Glinsky. Let's get into the NBA playoffs a little bit yesterday. Pistons won over the Magic, avoided elimination in their game at home. Cade Cunningham went absolutely nuclear. 45 points in that game for the Pistons as they're able to fight off elimination. Now they have 2 more games they have to win consecutively in order to advance out of the first round. You know, I guess the mentality at this point for this team is just play the next one. And, we saw that yesterday. Again, Cade went crazy, but is it a sustainable model? No, probably not, I would guess, Ryan.
It depends if Franz plays. If Franz does not play, Cade could get whatever he wants. But if Franz plays, because he's going to be the one that mainly defends Cade, oh, man, we are cooked. If we are cooked because we don't have anyone that can defend both Banchero and Franz Wagner. We are essentially cooked. And yesterday, because I mainly was watching because, again, when I heard Franz Wagner not playing, I'm like, okay, we'll probably win. We'll most likely win this game. But I want to see what it looks like. I want to see if we're able to take care of business, if we're able to dominate. And I think for the most part, we controlled the game. I mean, we won every single quarter besides the fourth because they had a 3 and second we didn't. But for the most part, we dominated every single quarter. The thing that scared me a little bit was the fact that the Magic were hanging around a little bit. It scared me a little bit because you're doing this without Franz Wagner. You're doing it without Franz Wagner. And will Cade drop 45 again? Will Banchero drop 45 again? Most likely not. But now you add, because the Pistons don't have a guy off the bench. Kevin Huerter's going to magically drop 30 points or something? That's going to magically happen? No, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But what scared me is the fact that they did this without Franz Wagner. And the same signs were still there. The Pistons still look tired. They still look exhausted. Looks like the lights are too bright. Cade was still knocking down shots. I think from a team, we still struggled a little bit from 3. I mean, outside of Cade hitting 5, Duncan hit 3, Javonte Green hit 1, Tobias hit 1. For the most part, it's still, they showed a little bit more fight, to be honest with you, Nate, but the same signs are still there for me, man. It's still what is Jalen Duren doing on the floor at certain points of the game? Asar Thompson, for the love of God, could you please just put the ball in the hoop like one time that's not a dunk or a putback or a layup or anything? Please knock down a jump shot. But no, the same issues are still there. They showed a little bit more heart, maybe showed a little bit more fight, maybe, but I still don't have faith for Game 6. Don't have faith that they win the series, but
yeah. I mean, even without Franz on the floor, I still get concerned about them going to Orlando to play this next game, and I think it's just right. And I think it's a good reminder that seeding matters, but I think what matters more than that is matchups. I think matchups matter the most, and when you look at the type of matchup Orlando has been against Detroit in this playoff series, it has exposed the weaknesses that this Pistons team didn't really need to address during the regular season. It almost has this sense of, Detroit was kind of bamboozled by the rest of the league. Like, it was almost like this like miraculous like con job where they like convinced or tricked the Pistons into believing that they were capable of going out and winning an NBA championship, only to turn around and pull the rug out from under them and go, actually, no. The Celtics are the best team in the East, and frankly, there are other teams that have far greater chances of going out and winning NBA championships than you do. It just, everybody else around Cade is just not doing, they're not really doing their job right now. And that's the thing that is so alarming to me, is that for whatever reason, that combination worked during the regular season. Yeah, Cade is obviously going to be your playmaker. And I saw the reaction yesterday. Ben Bosher was actually talking about how he thinks that Cade actually holds a little bit more responsibility for where the series is versus, what people are willing to say. Because again, this is Detroit. We're overly protective of our superstars. It's just how it goes. If we were in New York, they would have strung Cade up by now and the series not even over. So, it's a different world here in the Motor City. But I think he holds a point, but I think everybody clearly hasn't been doing their job. But Cade and all the turnovers and everything, fine. But yesterday proved that, he's had a 30-point game. Now he has 45 in that game. Like, he needs help from someone somewhere else. And I think it's forcing us to learn this really hard lesson that specialists, while they work in certain stretches, normally it's the 3-point shooting specialists that are the ones you want on your team. Everything else, I mean, like, if we're just so defensive oriented, but yet we can't turn that into points on the other side, specialists aren't going to do much for you. Especially if they're defensive specialists, and especially if your second best player is Jalen Duren. You're not going to see that. And I know everybody's piled on Jalen Duren like the last, during this series, because, he was great during the regular season, but has been completely exposed. But yeah, I mean, Cade's going to get his, and he got his yesterday, but is it a sustainable model? No. It sucks to say that. I would just like to see them come back and win this series, and then anything else, whatever. Like, I don't really care at this point, but, even if we squeak by without Franz being on the floor, I don't know, I don't know how much I take away from this series.
This does nothing. This does nothing for me. Good job, guys. You showed some heart. You didn't get gentlemen swept by an 8 seed as a 1 seed, but it's like,
yeah,
guys, it's still the same issues. And I think most importantly, the biggest takeaway I've taken from this whole series, Nate, is the fact that, man, do I miss Michigan basketball. Man, do I miss that, because that was so much fun watching that team. They were like, the mistakes that the Pistons are making, Michigan would not make, like just randomly pushing players out of the way to, get technical fouls and everything. Like, we're just pushing people. Like, we're not knocking down threes. We're not hustling. We're not rebounding the basketball. Like, with Michigan, it was so easy. Like, I knew on a night, like every night, like, for the most part, maybe besides Duke and maybe a little bit of the Final Four, we're like, we're going to win this game by a lot.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm expecting. But when it comes to this Pistons team, it's like, guys, what are we? Oh, my God. We left him there open for that long of a 3. Dude, can we defend something? Rebound the basketball, Duren. You want $40 million? Rebound the ball. Beef stew, what are you doing? Like, that's the stuff that I'm getting at. There's more like I'm getting pissed off because they're not doing the basic stuff. That's what I'm mainly more upset about. But I mean, hey, they get a victory. I'll never apologize. I'll never be upset that we got a victory in the playoff series, and especially at home to see LCA rocking. But I mean, for the most part, Nate, I'm just fed up with the series. I just would rather this thing just die. Like when I was watching the Tigers last year during the worst, what was it? The worst fall from grace ever. I was like, guys,
Yeah.
could you just please die? Like
It has
just
yeah.
suck.
It has a feeling of this season for the Pistons is on its deathbed, and we're just doing everything we can to just keep it alive. Like, let's just keep it on life support. Like, we don't want to let it go, because we don't want to let go of the feeling that, hey, Pistons basketball is back, because we had that for the entire regular season. It was like this this resurgence of a once great franchise, only to get embarrassed in round one. We have part of the family that's like, hey, just let him go. And we got the other part of the family going, no, we got to continue to fight. Like, no, man, this is, as morbid of a comparison as that may sound like, because it is pretty morbid. But from our perspective, it feels like that. Like, it's just not. We might get through this series. We might do something miraculous and come back from down 3-1. But it is at the end of all of it, I just don't know if it really makes all the difference in the world. And it's going to force Trajan Langdon and this Pistons organization to take a much deeper look at who the missing component is. And also just not buying into the lie that the regular season tells you, which I felt like it told us a lot of lies this year.
I think, if anything, which there's two comments from Fabian right here I do want to get into before we get done with the Pistons. I think, if anything, I'm kind of glad that this has happened this year in truly like year one of us being a contender, I guess, if that makes sense. Like last year was like, hey, we finally made the playoffs. Wait, we won a game? We didn't get swept? I mean, hey, like, that was awesome. Like, that was fun. But I think, if anything, I am glad this has happened in the first year of us truly kind of contending and truly being in year one of Cade's prime, because we now know what we're going to need. Hopefully. Like, if Trajan Langdon turns around and says, we're good, okay, then this team is going nowhere in terms of winning an NBA championship. But if they turn around and they're like, okay, man, we know what we need. We need another player. We need another Robin for Cade. We need to figure out some more 3-point shooting. Like, if that's the case, then I'm fine with this, because in totality, we've got Cade Cunningham for at least another 5 years, at least until the end of 2030. We have him for another 4. No, I think he's out till 2031. I don't know what his contract is. I'm pretty sure it's 2030. Let's see what his contract goes to. Anyway, that's what I'm looking at. Like, it could be, obviously, if we lose, we get hurt. Okay, he's in until 2030. He signed it last year, so we got at least a couple more years out of him at a minimum. But I'm just looking at it. I'm glad. You know what? Tobias Harris, the fact that he's our second leading scorer sucks. Jalen Duren, we've got to figure out a post game for you, kid. We're not giving you $40 million and all that fun stuff. We got to figure out some more shooters. Karis LeVert, you can walk out the door. But yeah, no, I'm glad this has happened now.
Yeah. Yep. It is it's tough to watch for sure. On the other side of this break, we'll talk a little bit about
only good thing Michigan has had is Barry Sanders and the Fab Five. I would disagree with that. We had Kelvin Johnson. We had 2 national championship teams this decade already. Isaiah Thomas, the Bad Boys, going to work Pistons. I mean, the Red Wings had a damn near dynasty. They had 4 titles in, I think, 9 years, something like that. Are the Pistons the Arsenal of the NBA? No, because the Pistons haven't been relevant yet. They've only been relevant for 1 year. That's what I would say to all that.
Yep. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's typically they go in twos, right? Like they won 2 championships back to back, and then the 08 team, I mean, those guys almost went back to back. They got back to the NBA finals. They lost to the Spurs, obviously, and Tim Duncan, which, by the way, is funny. I was watching a video yesterday that said Tim Duncan has the most boring highlight reel you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah,
and
true.
It is quite literally the most boring highlight reel. He has a few dunks in there, but that's about it, because that's who Tim Duncan was. But no, I mean, like, normally when they're good for consecutive years, but the Pistons have not mean, they haven't won a playoff series since what?
Oh, wait.
Since the early 2000s. Yeah, exactly. Since 2008. So, yes, Detroit, to your point, Fabian, Detroit has gone through a series of disappointments. I think we showed the graph the other day of all the different major teams in this city and the cataclysmic downfalls that they've had. So we've seen a lot of that. But no, I think to Ryan's point, I think we've had some other things happen since Barry and the Fab Five. And I don't think it's been that desolate, but it certainly has not been great. I'll tell you that much. At least we're not like Phoenix, though. Like Phoenix has nothing.
Or Minnesota.
Well,
Minnesota ain't got
no, they
nothing.
They have the Diamondbacks. I take it back. Diamondbacks won a World Series. All right, never mind. But yes, yeah, exactly. There you go. Or we could live in like Maine. That would suck. What's in Maine?
Yeah, you got Cooper Flag.
Yeah, you got nature too. I guess that's pretty cool. Yeah, he's from Maine. I forgot he was from Maine. Is he really? Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Have you seen that Kevin Durant new TV show where he like pranks other
Anthony
NBA
Davis?
players? Or Anthony Davis. Sorry about that.
I've seen clips.
You have?
I know exactly what you're talking about with Cooper Flag and the emojis.
It's actually pretty funny. Have you seen the Draymond Green one where they're like trying to get him to send them $100 million? It's like, who just holds on to $100 million? That was so funny. Credit to Draymond Green for not freaking out initially too. He was trying to hold it
he didn't
together
kick
as best he
anyone.
could, but he was about to. He was that close to doing
Michigan
so.
State way, just kicking people.
But the other guy who's working with him on that show is LeBron James. And apparently Ryan has something to say about how he cries too much. We'll talk about that more on the other side here on Inside the Game.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind. Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics, letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail. Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play, NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate. Call 586-304-4405 and start watching today.
Conversation rolls along here on Inside the Game. Nate Wangler and Ryan Glinsky.
Real quick before we get to LeBron, this is always funny to me. Memo Ochoa is going to play in his 6th World Cup representing Mexico as the legendary goalkeeper will make the squad. He will retire shortly after from club in the national team. That's going to make me pull up his Brazil highlights from that game in 2014, but this dude just spawns into the World Cup every single time.
That's funny, man. Wow. Yeah, just somehow finds a way.
Literally, have never seen this guy play for anyone else except Mexico.
Oh, man. Oh, that's great. Oh, interesting. But let's get into the next part of this conversation. LeBron James, apparently he cries a lot. What do you got to say, Ryan Glinsky?
It's not what I had to say. It's what LeBron's got to say. This guy, he was asked about the GOAT conversation the other day, and he's like, yeah, whenever the GOAT conversation comes on, you guys always crap on one side. And he says something else that I can't say, and it goes, well, you guys typically always bleep on me. LeBron, when you crown yourself, and then you sit on national television to announce in a middle school gym where you're going and then say, not 5, not 6. Dude, you lost to J.J. Barea and the Dallas Mavericks in that finals. And then, you go on and do all these different things and everything. Don't you realize, that's a part of the business and everything? Like,
Yeah.
I have never heard any Arsenal player come out to the media and complain about how everyone rips on them too much, because they get ripped on every single day. It's a part of the business. And Mexico keepers are a different type of special, says Dave, only to play in the Mexican league, says Fabian. Dude, it's weird, man. This guy only spawns in for the. I'll post his Brazil highlights today, dude. It's unreal what he did in that one. Fabian says Jordan, Kobe, LeBron. That's his top 3. Look, you live in the world of social media as well. You've been in the league. You could have retired like 10 years ago if you truly wanted to. I'm sure you made enough money as it is anyway. But when you constantly put yourself in big markets like Miami and LA, and you're constantly moving from team to team every 4 years, and then people are mad that, because if we're being honest, Bronny James isn't an NBA basketball player. He's really not. If his name wasn't LeBron James Jr., he's not in the NBA. And LeBron, you just do a lot of things that rub people the wrong way, and you say a lot of things that rub people the wrong way. You're going to get made fun of. You're going to get crapped on, because MJ didn't live in the age of social media. He just hooped, did his thing, wanted to, gamble on the side and get in trouble that way and smoke his cigars, obviously. But he just wanted to hoop, smoke cigarettes, and gamble. That's all MJ wanted to do. That's all he wanted to do.
Yep.
And MJ, you could say, was maybe a bad teammate as well, depending on if it rubbed you the wrong way. But a lot of people think LeBron's a bad teammate as well. But, hey, you can't come out here and say you're the GOAT and then complain and cry about, you guys are too hard on me. It just makes me hate you even more.
Yeah. The thing is, with comparisons to Michael Jordan, everything has to do with the fact that they're completely different people, him and MJ. MJ was a private person in general. MJ, the story of him coming into Chicago when he first got there as a rookie, there was, he would be by himself watching film. He would just hang out by himself after games. He wouldn't go out and participate in parties. He wouldn't really go out with the guys. Extremely, extremely private person coming into the league. And, kind of continued that as he went. He wasn't really one for the media, as you mentioned. He wasn't really one to talk about things in front of the cameras. However, what the cameras did capture behind the scenes was very different. But the reality is, you don't get to that level, and you don't get to that level of play, and you're not that good without believing in your heart of hearts that you are the best to do it. And I truly believe that MJ, in the heat of his career, in the middle of it, truly did believe that he was the greatest to do it. At that time, the greatest on the court, which he was. Everywhere MJ went, he was the best on the floor. But he's a completely different person than the type of person LeBron is. And the reason why I know that is because in LeBron's era, you would never see some of the things that went on, at least from the way ownership treated players during MJ's era. If you want any further proof of that, look at the contract that the Bulls gave Pippen during his time in Chicago.
Jerry Krause was an idiot.
Kid, they literally, you were right, but fleecing players for the least amount of money that you could get them for was not necessarily unique in the NBA at that time. It wasn't a player-centered league. It was, the owners are like, listen, we run everything. We get to make the choices. The era that LeBron has ushered into the NBA, as frustrating as it may be, because obviously it's gone to the extent now of, it almost seems too individual with the rest and the time off and all those other things. The reason why LeBron is generational in my mind is because he completely changed that. He completely flipped the script on that to now it's a player-centered league. And I believe that's actually bled over into the other leagues as well. It's not just the National Basketball Association. So yes, LeBron is completely different. And even his involvement in other areas, not basketball related. We talk about the shut up and dribble thing and how that, all that came along. But
was that directed at LeBron, or was that someone else?
I think it started with LeBron, but I think it probably, because everybody, felt, seeing him do that, they felt comfortable themselves also speaking up and speaking their truth and doing all those things. So I understand that if the era of basketball that he has ushered in is frustrating, then yes, absolutely. But he's just a completely different person than who MJ was. And some people don't like that. Do I think it takes away from his accomplishments? No, personally, I don't. I think it is wild, absolutely wild to see him at 41 years old producing on the level that he's doing without Luka, mind you. So, I mean, it is something that I don't think, frankly, I don't know if we'll ever see again, even with all of the
we
rest
will.
and everything.
With all
I
the
mean, this is
treatment
just like,
and everything, we will.
I mean, it's comparable to Tom Brady and how long he was able to stick around and be. I mean, he is the only other comparison in terms of length of career and impact made throughout the course of his career. It's him and it's Brady in terms of longevity. I don't think there's any other American athlete you could look at and go,
where's
was
Udonis
productive
Haslem
at a
in all
higher
this?
level. Udonis Haslem.
He was there for a
I
while.
love me some Udonis Haslem. Don't I will not hate on Udonis Haslem, even
No, you
even though
can't.
he was just
If you
kind
do,
of a bench guy.
You're a
But
douchebag.
yeah,
And no, like
I love.
again, I'm still waiting for the day we get truly heated into the LeBron James, Michael Jordan debate. But once upon a time, I actually liked LeBron James. I didn't mind him once upon a time. But it was kind of right around that second Cavs stint. I was like, dude, this guy is just annoying, dude. He just pisses me off. And kind of because Fabian thinks LeBron cannot be bigger than a team. LeBron made basketball worse. Dude, yesterday in that Pistons Magic game, there was a stretch where that is why I don't watch NBA basketball on the regular. Like, my dad and I are sitting there, and they're like, dude, this is horrible. It's a foul every possession, and they only get fouled is because Banchero yells every time he gets touched. It's like it's watching soccer. Desmond Bane's flopping over the place. It's like I'm watching soccer. Like, I expect flopping in soccer. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I truly expect that, and it's a part of the game. But when it comes to the NBA, man, it's just not. But, like, the flopping, the crying in the media, dude, like, and then you crown yourself the GOAT, and he just does certain things, dude, that no other athlete would do. Like, I'm waiting for Tarek Skubal to, like, go into a middle school gym in Detroit and announce that he's going to be an LA Dodger. Like, that's the only one where I can think he might do this thing, because Scott Boras is like, dude, just do it, man. It's going to be so sick. Tell him you're going to be an LA Dodger in some middle school gym. And then Tarek Skubal just like Skubal obviously is not that type of guy, but he would be the person to do it from the baseball side. But there's just lots of things that just rub me the wrong way. I guess when it comes to LeBron James, that's all.
Yeah, and I don't. I mean,
and he's
I don't
a
know
Liverpool
if I agree with
fan.
the whole...
That's the main reason why. I'm just kidding. That's not the main reason why.
Does he have part ownership?
He does.
Or does he have stock in it? Okay, I imagined. Yeah, I mean, in the whole argument of he doesn't make other players better, I mean, I don't. I mean, obviously the leader all-time assists in NBA history, but I mean, you really think Matthew Dellavedova would have had a good polished career if it wasn't for LeBron James? I mean, like, he made Kyle Korver, like, you know, I don't know. There's an example at every stop that I think he made the guys around him better. So I don't. In terms of
Dave, that's a great point, Dave. MJ has never said he was the greatest of all time. He never has.
Yeah, because that's not who MJ was. MJ was a private person. Also, MJ didn't have social media. Like, it's funny, we talk about how players act now. If we had all these cameras and social media and all these other things, and my dad even tells me this. He's like, thank God I didn't have social media when I was young, because it would have been a completely different look to my life than what it looks like now. Because we were, you know, jumping in dumpsters to get donuts because Krispy Kreme was throwing them out at night. You know, whole boxes of donuts, which I don't really understand. But anyways.
Gross.
You know, I mean, if it's still in the box, it's fine. But anyways, like, it's just
I don't like Krispy Kreme that much to jump in a dumpster for it. I'm just saying.
But I mean, okay, didn't say he was the greatest player of all time, but yet chases down the owner of a team in the tunnel after winning and says, "How do you like that B word?" So I mean, no, let's not act
Jerry
like
Krause
MJ
is an idiot. Jerry Krause is dumb. Let's just take a team that just won 3 straight and blow it up. What?
Let's not act like MJ didn't carry himself like he was the best. Okay, did he ever say the specific words? I'm sure. I don't know. Someone could probably go back and find it. It's social. It's like go find it online. I'm sure it's there. But you know, no, there were MJ still had the ego the size of the world, and so you know, the painting him as some sort of angel while painting LeBron is this other. It just doesn't make sense to me. But anyways, we're running out of time for question of the day. Let's get to that.
Which, by the way, I would jump into the dumpster for donuts from the old donut shop that used to be by my house. I would totally jump in the dumpster for those donuts. Those are they make me hate donuts because they're not good anymore. Anyway, they're not there anymore. Anyway, question of the day brought to you by Salt Athletic, an official sponsor of us here at the National Soccer Network. Use promo code NSN15 to save 15% off that #1 smell-proof cleat bag that 100% works. Scan the QR code on your screen or visit saltathletic.com today. But anyway, question of the day. There we go. Is the Pistons won again song kind of annoying? Because I'm pretty annoyed by it at this point. Pistons won again. All we do is...
it's the same. Yeah, all we do is win. Yeah, exactly. No, it's the same one.
Kind of annoying.
I mean, it's cool when they're doing well. It's kind of tacky when you avoid elimination to an 8 seed. I mean, I don't.
Again.
Yeah, no, they won. Okay, cool. They won one. They need to win again in order to, stave off elimination on the road in Orlando. I think it's kind of tacky when it's now when the first one came out, because I think it was the Lions that the first.
Was it the Tigers or was it the Lions? It probably was the Lions at first because they went
during
15-2.
Yeah, during that whole run. So I think it was cool for a while there, but I mean,
Pistons won
again. Man, when you're fighting for your life against an 8 seed, I don't know if again is not. No, they won after getting their face smashed in. So no, I don't love it. I think it's tacky personally sometimes.
There's a guy out there, I don't know what his name is, but he makes a song. He kind of does the same thing as Pistons won again, but he creates a new song after every week for the Lions, about that game. That's
interesting.
That's cool. That's cool.
That's creative.
But I'm just saying. The Pistons won again. Tigers won again. Guys, it's
because all we do is win. No, that's not all we do. Actually, we do a lot of other things other than win sometimes. Yeah, so
I'm just saying it's. I don't know. I get really annoyed. When I flip on Instagram and Braylon Edwards' Instagram story is he's walking through the hall of his suite or whatever, and all his Pistons won again. Come on, man. That song's so annoying now. Braylon, you know ball better than that. You know music better than that.
Oh, man. But that'll wrap up our show here today on Inside the Game. You guys are great, man. Stopping by every day, dropping us comments and everything. Again, National Soccer Network, Sports Nation on social media. Final show of the week coming up tomorrow at 9 a.m. Make sure you drop into the chat and let us know what you want us to talk about. We got one more from Fabian.
Yeah,
on the way
Dave.
Out.
No, Dave, because he's Scottish. The don't come home too soon. He goes, it's a lot better than don't come home too soon. That's right. That's true. That's true. Hey, whenever Scotland comes out with their World Cup song, please mention me on Twitter or something. Let me see it because, dude, it is whole. I just please don't have a don't come home too soon. Man, I suck at singing. Jeez, who made me do that? Nate, you should have just yelled at me for doing that.
No, you're good, man. But we'll talk to our favorite Scotsman coming up tomorrow, as well as Fabian and everybody else who joins our chats day after day. And until we talk to you then, so long, everybody.
From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wenger bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk.